Cheers, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Coaches Talk Coaching with me, Scott Wright, Jeff Garofalo, and today we are so excited to welcome one of the best strength and conditioning coaches, team player, talented leader, and overall fantastic guy, Keith Deyo. Thank you so much for being here,
Yes,
Keith.
man. Thank you. I'm honored and also humbled to be here in the presence of two coaches that I respect more than any other youth soccer coach out there right now.
Oh, man. Oh,
What are you guys up?
we love you, bro. What? Thanks for being here, man. So, Coach Keith, tell us a bit about yourself, man. Who are you?
Well, that's a bit of a loaded question. There's so many ways that I can explain this, but I know that at the core, I have three main values. That's to love fully, live freely, and laugh often. And while I'm doing that, it's really important to me that I have a mind that's open to everything and attached to nothing. And that's something I learned from Wayne Dyer. Those are words to live by. As long as I know that that's my key metric in everything I do or everything I once did, then I know that I'm living at 100%. And my mission is to get 1% better every single day so that every day I show up, I'm the greatest in every single way. One of our mantras is, all we do is win. And I want that to sink in for you. Surround yourself with winners.
I love that, man. Just reading a post you made not too long ago is you either win or you learn. That's that.
Win and learn, baby. Posted it again today.
Love that. One of the things that we like to do is to engage our listeners and to help us learn a little bit more about you. Could you share a fun story, something entertaining for the folks out there?
Absolutely. It's a story that it isn't until recently, probably in the past decade that, and I say recent because I've got a couple decades under my belt. It wasn't until recently that this really hit home and I realized what was actually going on. And it's what about coaching? It's funny that this is where I am. This is where I've sat. As I was one of the harshest judgment people around coaching. And it wasn't to be judgy and it wasn't to feel like I'm better or was better when I was growing up. It was because my standards were set so high. And for all those people that had their fathers or their mothers as coaches or a close relative coach them, they understand it's a standard that's set so incredibly high that the second you grow out of them coaching you, and there is a point when you grow out of it where you can only take so much criticism through the path of development that you can deal with as a youth. And that's genetics. I mean, not genetics. That's as a person, as we grow as a human, we can only develop so many ways to cope with the things that a coach has to do and gets to do. And when it's done to somebody, either from them, their own struggles or your own struggles as a coach, to one's child, or as a parent to one's child, or as a child from one's parent or close relative, it's tough to handle. And so my dad coached me, man. He coached me my entire life, all the way up until it really, really, really mattered. And what he taught me was to be fair to everyone. He said, let's be fair. Let's do what we're going to say we're do. Let's be in congruence. He said, let's allow our beliefs to be in line with our reality. And the second I saw a coach not deliver what they said they would, and that's extremely tough because you want to make your team promises, you want to be there for them, you want to be as consistent as possibly can, but in such an uncertain activity like sports, there's a lot of times when you make a prediction or you want to believe in something so bad, but then it doesn't go that way and you have to switch it. But as a child, I didn't get that, or as a young adolescent, I didn't get that. And so as my dad faded away as my coach on the field, he still remained my coach in life and my mentor. What happened was I then got in contact with other coaches, and they started to coach me, and I started to revolt and make turmoil and really challenge them. And I knew I was at this point, I know I was making them better, even though I was a thorn in their side. But for me, it was a point where I was trying to hold them up to somebody, hold them up to my dad's standards, or hold them up to be my dad. And that wasn't fair to them at all. And there's nothing that I can do about it now except come to terms, remove the emotion, and pass it on as knowledge, which is what I do now. And so as I'm growing up, it's funny because the one coach that really made an impact for me he was a close family friend, but he was somebody that did those things. He was incongruent. He believed in his reality. He said what he was going to do. He said what he was going to do, and then he did it. And then he taught me that to be good at everything, isn't great. There's an opportunity you have every single day to be great at one or two things and let everything else follow. And he taught me that a rising tide rises all ships. And that was huge for me because I was so busy being good at everything and letting my ego eat off that I never really quite stopped to be great at one or two things. And that didn't really start to happen until he came into my life. And so I started to pick one position. I started to focus on only one or two sports instead of playing them all. And I started to gain ground and I started to create momentum, but I was still not there. I never really believed that I reached the top. I never really believed that I got to maximize my genetic potential because of when I started. And I didn't realize that it was so important until the window was a lot smaller. And so it wasn't in my cards to do that as an athlete. But then I quickly realized that, all right, well, if it wasn't in my cards to do it as an athlete, what else could it mean? It's another great question you can ask yourself every day. Well, I asked myself that question enough times till I got an answer that I was willing to take. And it meant that I am now here. I was now born to pass on those things to the next generation or to the next good athlete that isn't quite sure or doesn't quite trust themselves that they're great. They can be great. And that's the shoes that I stepped into. That's what I do every single day. It's what I wake up for every single day. And so it's funny, I despise coaches. I always say there's only one coach I ever got along with my entire life, and I probably had 100 of them. And here I am now, a coach, and I got to wear it. When someone judges on me or someone's there, I got to be like, oh, man. I take a deep breath. I was like, I know I want to strangle you right now, but I know exactly where you're coming from. Let's have a chat.
Right. Oh, well, yeah, man. I mean, coaches, they come in all different shapes, forms, sizes, personalities, but it's an honor to be in front of someone that calls, to be in the same space as someone that calls himself a coach, because they're putting themselves out there and not everyone else does. So thank you for sharing that, man. We're here for a reason, and one of the reasons that we're here is to help educate everyone about what we can offer, and most importantly, you, Coach Keith, and EPI. Could you tell us a little bit about what you do professionally, and give us an idea of why it's valuable?
Absolutely. Thanks for asking. And like I said, it's an honor to be here on this stage and to have this platform to be able to share what we do and what we love. And so I in the past 20 years, have really stepped into my true calling. And that's really delivering people, especially other athletes, if not other coaches and people that are in a mentorship space, offering them the ability to believe in somebody more than they actually believe in themselves. And do it until. And what I mean by until is until they believe in themselves more than you actually believed in them. That's true leadership. That's honorable, is to never give up on somebody. Make sure that you're not that person that stamps on their dreams or makes their career or their experience about you. You make sure that you realize that if there's no athletes, if there's no clients, there is no coach. It's not the other way around. And we often get that mixed up. And so at EPI, we've got a great philosophy. We understand that belief is a huge commodity. And we also know that our attention is probably our biggest asset. That's the thing that everybody wants the most, that everybody wants attention on them. And then everybody else out there in the business world wants your attention. They'll pay billions and billions of dollars for it. And so what we want to allow other athletes, other coaches, other families, other parents, anyone that's going to step into a space that someone's going to look up to them in, or they're going to step into a space that they want to go from average to good to great. We want to allow them an environment that they can thrive in. And there's two types of situations you find yourself in. You're either going to be a thermometer or a thermostat. Right? And that thermometer is somebody who steps into the environment and they set the temperature. And the thermostat is somebody who steps into an environment and they measure the temperature. It's totally different worlds, but we find ourselves, depending on where we are and what our confidence and belief is in ourselves in that place, we find ourselves in those two different types of using those two different types of metrics. And so at EPI, what we found is that we know that there's going to be phases that our clients go through, and there's phases that athletes go through, coaches go through, family members and parents, they all go through them. And we want to make sure that we go through them at the same time, but maybe not at the same pace as we grow together. And so the E in our company name stands for evolve, and that's a big filter for us. We have filters set up and check marks along the way so that we don't get you in a position that you can't quite accomplish what you want long term. We're not looking to put a Band-Aid on someone's success and allow them to experience it in a finite way. We want to create this infinite experience for you. We want to create this infinite path, this journey for you. So when we talk about the E and where the evolve comes in and the process of working with somebody, that filter allows somebody for those people that are simply interested. Because when you're interested in something, maybe it's exploratory, you've got a lot of questions, you're going to get to a place where you're going to actually look at other people's experiences. I know we go to Google reviews when you go to something new and you look at it and you start looking at the reviews and you're influenced by them. That's you being a thermometer. That's you being in this evolved space. You're interested. So when you're interested in something, you'll do what's convenient. So what we want to do is we want to entertain those people. We still want to be able to allow them to get to a place where, hey, maybe that peak isn't too high and maybe what's up there is worth it. And I know once I get there, I'm going to have to go back down into the next valley to climb the next peak. Maybe just maybe I could do it. What would be entailed? And so that's where evolve comes at that beginning process of evolution. We want to allow you to experience the tools, experience the resources. We're going to still create this environment for you, but it's one that's created through text messages, daily videos, things that you're not really getting a one-on-one person. You're getting a same level commitment from us as a company. You're getting that here, we're going to allow you to do what's convenient long enough to know whether this is something you want to continue to be interested in and grow yourself into the level of commitment. And that's where the next phase comes in. That's where perform comes in, the P in EPI. And at that point, you're then saying, I'm committed. I'm no longer interested. I'm committed. And I'm here to do what's required. That means you're on your journey. That means you're taking those steps necessary, and you're taking them at first feeling like you're excited. You don't really know what's coming, but we call it inception. So you're really excited, but you're not very competent in the process. So you're getting there. You know there's going to be a peak to climb, a mountain to climb. You know the view is going to be amazing. You're willing to do whatever's required. And so at that point, you're performing. That's where you get a coach. That's where you're either you're interacting with us via Zoom like this, or you're interacting with us at a facility or on a field. That's that performance phase. That's where the fun starts. That's where I feel. That's where I get jazzed up. That's where I get fired up, because I'm actually there then working with you, and I'm showing you that all of the beliefs that you were told, all of the things that are not quite congruent are making sense. You can ask a question and get an answer right away. Actually, you're going to ask a question and you're going to experience the answer, because that's what's all about. That's that physical acting out. That's the performance phase. And we know that there's a next level. If you make it through those first filters, those first checkpoints, we know that there's going to be a level where you realize that you've got something special in you. You've got something that's going to live on. You're going to create a legacy. You're going to do something that's legendary, that's generational. You're going to take something that you've been given and you're going to share it with someone else. You realize that along this journey, you are the David, and there's this Goliath that you're going to slay. You're looking to be the hero in your own story, and you're not willing to be quiet about it. You're there, you're going to show somebody, this is what I'm doing, this is how it was done, and my focus is that you can get here as quicker than I did, and then take it even further than I did, and pass it on to the next generation and the next generation. It's like waking up every day knowing that you're going to work for your grandkids that haven't even been born yet. That's the type of people that get into the influence category for us. That's where we're really working day to day, hand to hand. You're there, you're in it, you're experiencing it. You're realizing that everything that I've ever done, I'm now going to go back, look to make sense of it, or if anything, start removing some of those emotional anchors, so that when something comes up, I don't get drawn back and repeat the same thing over and over again. You're getting to a point where as the emotion is removed, you've now got knowledge. You start to pass that on, and you start to realize that, wow, I know at the beginning I was David going to slay Goliath, but now I'm an actual Goliath. I'm here so that people can show up and stand on my shoulders. They can see what I see and then some. That's the influence piece of it. And we've really been able to in the past 2 years, we've been doing this for 20 years, but in the past 2, we took it and the global version of what we do, it became Epicenter. It was no longer the edge performance training that was there for 17, 18 years. That was the primary stages of this now new mission. That was our good. This is now our great. And that's where we sit in front of you today.
Awesome. So cool. It seems like I just know, man, working with you, you are our resident strength and conditioning coach. But you're so much more than that. I know you're talking about influencing, and I know that you yourself are a phenomenal influencer. So the ability to be able to, like you said, have people stand on your shoulders so that we can all climb to higher levels. I think that that's fantastic. What great teamwork. So the last thing that we have here is Coach Jeff's got some fire round questions for you.
Go bring it.
Without Coach Keith, man, thank you for being with us. We miss you. I miss being on the field with you so much.
I know, it's great. Oh, we will be.
Whenever I step on the field, man, with you, there's such an uplifting presence, and it's motivating for me, and I know it's motivating for our players, and I just look forward to getting back and making that happen. For those that don't know, Coach Keith is our strength and conditioning coach for the Brookfield High School girls team, as well as our Liberty Premier players. So just can't wait to get back working with you. But right now we got some rapid fire questions just to have some fun and learn a little bit more about you. First one, Coach Keith, what was your sport growing up and what position did you play?
All of them, everyone.
What was your favorite?
Definitely soccer. I'm a huge soccer guy. I was a keeper and a striker. Loved it. You can make a mistake, let a goal in, step out in the second half and make up for it.
I couldn't imagine going on a breakaway against you.
I was not this size. I was not this size. I was like 50, 60 pounds lighter. So, awesome. But I was just as tenacious, just as hungry.
Where did you grow up playing?
I grew up in New Paltz, New York, and then I went on to play in college at Becker College.
Awesome. Cool. Coach Keith, what makes you happy inside?
Progress. Progress is the only true happiness. And also, what allows me to be happy and free is what I believe deep down inside, that everyone has equal opportunity, and knowing that the same wind blows on us all, it's only the set of the sails that determines our outcome.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, on the other end, what's something that can get you a little angry?
Man, I don't really waste too much time on that emotion. It's one that's a stealer. It steals our everything, steals energy from everyone. And if I was in a position where I had to choose what makes me angry, I would say missed opportunities, knowing that there was something there that I could have done something about and I didn't, because there's two different pains in the world, and I put anger and pain in the same category for me anyway. And I understand that there's two different weights in the world, two different things that I assimilate with those two things, and it's the pain of discipline and the pain of regret. I know that the pain of discipline weighs but ounces. The pain of regret weighs tons. And if I had to say that's one way, that's one place that when that comes up for me, I'm like, okay, done, move on.
Yeah, I totally get that for sure. Favorite food?
Favorite food, all of them. I would definitely say I love food. I definitely don't restrict myself. I also don't live in extremes. But if I had to pick one, I would say my Isogenics nutritional supplements. They definitely bridge the gaps, and they're the foundation of everything I do. That they allow me to. They fuel me for everything I do in life right now.
That's amazing. I might have to try some of those. Last question, Keith. Who would play you in a movie?
There we go. All right. So who would play me? I believe it's tough. There's two people that are up to the task, and I would say either Val Kilmer, right? Val Kilmer's he's as stunningly charming and handsome, or say Kiefer Sutherland. He's on a little bit on the rougher side. Yeah. So when I'm in my beard phase, my winter look, he would be able to pull it off.
Love Kiefer Sutherland. That's awesome. That's all the questions I have. That was fun. That was great. Back to Coach Scott.
Well, thank you, Coach Keith. So for the last 30 seconds, we're going to pass the mic to you and tell the people what you want them to know.
There's a lot of times in life where you may show up and you may have doubt, or somebody may doubt in you. But the worst case scenario is when you believe it, and you believe that what somebody's telling you or what somebody's showing you is your reality. And so I want to allow you to see, I want to allow you to awaken in this message here to understand that your perception does not have to be your reality. It is. There's a lesson we spoke about today with our training clients, and we talked about how you can live life in so many ways. Why live it in the worst case scenario? If you find yourself waking up and using vocabulary like "it is what it is," that's a real victim place to be, and that's going to be a disempowering place. Why not wake up and say, "It is what I make it. I'm in control. This is my destiny, no one else's." And then the other message that we used today that we wanted to create clarity around is, if you're somebody that wakes up or often says that, well, what's the worst that can happen, or what's the worst case scenario, and you want to be prepared and you find honor and value in that, that's also a victim mentality. Why not live a life where you're prepared for the best that can happen? Whether you can or you can't, whether you think you can or you can't, like Will Smith says, you're right.